If you want to be a good Muslim, you need to know revelation. You need to know what Allah wants from you, and you need to know it. It's not good enough to say, well, I was born a Muslim and it's okay, I pray 5 times a day. Islam is not just about praying 5 times a day. There are so many people who pray 5 times a day, but their lives are upside down. They lead their lives like the worst of people. But one thing that happens, they pray 5 times a day. So, there is a hadith of a bankrupt person. And the description of that person is he who comes on the day of judgment with so much good deeds, but because of having usurped the rights of so many others, all these good deeds shall be distributed to other people. And this person is left with no good deeds. And still there are people who are saying, he's usurped my rights. Until their bad deeds are made to be shouldered by him, and then he is cast into hellfire. May Allah protect us. Really, what's the point of us attending conferences and conventions and lectures and listening to so many lectures on YouTube and perhaps on the telly and perhaps on the radio and so many different places, but our hearts have not moved, our lives have not changed? I cry when I think of how much Quran we read. We call it a khatma, which means we complete the entire Quran from cover to cover, not once but so many times, and our lives have not moved. Sometimes we have not even cried the warm tears. And yet there were enemies of Islam in the past. One verse was enough to shake up their whole lives, and they turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When a person is on his or her deathbed, what happens? The person begins to think, where am I going? And everyone else is saying, don't worry, you'll be okay, everything will be fine. And this person is sitting on the deathbed. And this is people, may Allah grant cure to all those who are sick and ill, even those who are terminally ill. Believe me, there is a miracle of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will cure you. May Allah grant you cure. But ultimately, we all have to go. It is pointless at the last moment worrying about where am I going to go. My brothers and sisters, when you make haste towards seeking the forgiveness of Allah, what have you done? You've developed a relationship with Allah. So, every time you sin, like we said, human nature, immediately turn to Allah. The question might be, how often? As often as possible, even if it were to be up to 100 times a day. What if I repeated the same sin after seeking the forgiveness of Allah? The answer is, well, if the conditions of seeking forgiveness were met, and they are 4, then you don't need to worry. If you had fallen back into the same sin again, the same 4 conditions would actually make you sinless and spotless once again and again and again, and it is endless. There is no limit to that. How comforting is that? You committed a sin, you sought forgiveness. Committed a sin, you sought forgiveness. Same sin again, sought forgiveness. And it kept going. For as long as the last thing you did before your last breath was seeking forgiveness, you have succeeded. Become used to this. This doesn't mean you have a green light to sin, but it's only telling you Allah has asked you to race towards seeking forgiveness. Make sure you make haste. Don't delay. Don't say, I'm going for Hajj, I'll seek forgiveness. Do it now. I'm waiting for Laylatul Qadr, I'll seek forgiveness. Do it now. Don't wait for those days. You may never see them. You might go back to Allah before that. Subhanallah. What are the 4 conditions of seeking forgiveness? Number 1, admit your sin to yourself, between you and Allah. Number 2, regret it. That's also between you and Allah. Number 3, seek forgiveness. That's also between you and Allah. Number 4, promise not to do it again. That's also between you and Allah. Once those 4 conditions are met, you don't need to involve a third party. Not an imam, not a leader, not a person, no one. You have those 4 conditions. You sought the forgiveness of Allah. You admitted, you regretted, you asked Allah's forgiveness, you promised not to do it again. It's gone, wiped out. But you keep seeking forgiveness again, even for those sins you committed in the past, because the more you seek forgiveness, the more your status is elevated.